the OT questions on double A, audit and other assurance engagements related, and it is from ACCA Study Hub. Okay, so the scenario name is NADAS and company, as you can see. Okay, so what it is saying, you are manager in the advisory and non-audit services department of NADAS company. Your clients range from sole traders, partnerships, and small private companies that do not require a statutory audit to companies requiring non-audit assurance services. Okay. One of your clients, Frederick, has a retail shop which he manages with his two sons. He is considering incorporating his business. He and his wife will own the shares in the company, and his sons will be appointed directors and take over management of daily operations. He has asked you about the purpose of an external audit and the concept of agency. Okay. The chairman of the board of directors of Plucky has identified the need to establish the integrity of the management information that the board is receiving from divisional managers. He has asked you about the elements of assurance engagement and the difference between the level of assurance that NADAS and Co can provide. As assistant who has been assigned to help you has expressed some uncertainty over the evaluation criteria in assurance engagement. You have given her the following as examples of evaluation criteria: OECD principles, money laundering regulations, IFRS accounting standards, commonly used definition of key performance indicators. Now, here it is our first requirement in line with the international standards on auditing, ISAs. Which two of the following are the overall objectives of conducting an audit of financial statement? Okay. So, which two of the following are the overall objectives of conducting an audit of financial statements? Is the requirement. Now, to obtain reasonable, well, we will use the highlighter rather. To obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement in order to express an opinion on them. Well, so first one is right. It's our one of the objective is to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement in order to express an opinion on them. To report on the financial statement and communicate as required by the ISA in accordance with the auditor's findings. No, it is not an objective, it is a criteria to perform an audit. Okay, to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statements due to fraud. No, to obtain sufficient Uh, okay, to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence regarding management use of the going concern basis of accounting. So yeah, D is also the right one. This is also one of the objectives of using ISAs. Third one is related to the ISA 240 fraud and regulations, and the B one is to report and communicate as required by the ISA in accordance with the auditor findings is also the a requirement of the audit, but not the objective. Okay. Now, which of the following statement describes the concept of agency? Directors will be responsible. Okay. Directors will be responsible for explaining their actions to the shareholders. Well, no. The first option, the A option, is the accountability, not the concept of agency. Direct will be responsible for managing the shareholders' property. No, that's not agency, it's stewardship. The C, the shareholders' interest the directors to manage the running of the business. Yes, the shareholders must be able to ensure that directors' actions are aligned with the shareholders' objectives. So C and D, and C is the most appropriate answer. Now, moving on, the chairman of the board of Lucky has asked about the elements of assurance engagement. Which four all of the following are the included in the elements of assurance engagement? And underlying subject matter, yes, it is included in it. And elements of assurance engagement. Assurance report is not part of it. Criteria, commitment to competence, no. Evidence is part of it. Criteria is part of it. Subject matter, criteria, evidence, and commitment to competence. That is the expert. So A, C, D, and F are it. Ethical requirements is not included in assurance engagement elements, and assurance report is also not included in it. Okay, then your assistant has expressed uncertainty about the evaluation criteria used in engagements. Which one of the following evaluation criteria to be related to the related subject matter OECD principles? Well, for OECD principles, it's governance arrangements. Okay, for money laundering regulations, it's anti-corruption procedures. Okay, for IFRS, its financial statements. And for commonly used definition of key performance indicators, that's achievements of operational targets. Okay, now the last one. Which two of the following statements comparing a reasonable assurance engagement with a limited assurance engagement are true? Engagement risk is greater for reasonable assurance engagement. Okay. Engagement risk is greater for a reasonable assurance engagement, yes, because it is more detailed, it has more transactions in it and all. So less evidence will be sought for a limited assurance, not necessary. Both reasonable assurance, limited engagement, requirement of the entity in its control environment. The conclusion is expressed in positive form for a reasonable assurance engagement and negative for a limited assurance engagement. That is also true. So yeah, A and D are the right answers for this part of the question. I hope this scenario is clear to you. If you have any questions, you can ask me on my WhatsApp, and you can always communicate me if you have any scenario. That's it.